Welcome to The Spiraling Soul, a podcast where we merge spirituality and psychology. I'm Emma, and that's Casey, and today we will be talking about the current changes in the astrological energies, mainly focusing on the astrological new year, Aries season, Pluto in Aquarius, Mercury retrograde, and the eclipses. We're filming this on the day of the full moon in Libra and the lunar eclipse. So it's a busy week astrologically, and I just wanted to ask, how's everyone doing? Like, there's been some really chaotic energies, and I've been feeling it. I don't know about you, Casey. We've both been feeling.
Oh, I've been feeling it in the best way.
Yeah, so I feel like there's been a lot of crazy energies in the air lately. I've been feeling it. Casey's been feeling it. A lot of people in my life have been feeling it. People that aren't even really into astrology and spirituality as much as we are. I've been hearing just everyone's feeling a little weird. Some people are feeling super good. Other people are feeling tired and stuff. And we're going to get into a lot of the reasons behind why that might be. We're also going to just get into, towards the end of this, a little bit about flow. Like, we're going to talk about flowing through life. But I think everything will make sense once we go over all the events that have been going on lately. So I'm going to begin by talking about the spring or vernal equinox that happened last week on March 19th in the northern hemisphere. We experienced the spring equinox, which is basically the day when the night is as long as the day. So it's equal both ways. So it's right in between the winter solstice and the summer solstice. I was really excited for the spring equinox because this is kind of the year that I'm tapping more into learning about like witchcraft and pagan traditions. And so it's my first time experiencing it with this new knowledge I have. The spring equinox is also referred to as Ostara. Just a little background on all that stuff. Pagan traditions, there's this thing called the Wheel of the Year. And basically all of the natural cycle is based around the story of a goddess, like Mother Earth. It's just tying in nature with the story of a goddess, and Ostara is really a time of recognizing birth and growth. By the way, these are called Sabbats. There's different Sabbats, which are like holidays, and so this one is Ostara. The next one coming up is Beltane. Some of them are lesser known. Other ones you've probably heard about, yet like Yule, which is kind of a lot of traditional Christmas traditions kind of overlap. But this holiday is all about balance and growth and planting seeds and recognizing that the sun is coming out more and new things are growing and things are being birthed and things like that. And I really like learning about the Sabbats and like pagan tradition, mainly because it's helped me connect a little more to nature and the natural cycles of our earth. That's kind of my main focus of it, is just feeling more connected to the earth, because I feel like these days a lot of humans aren't as connected to the earth as we once were.
We're not even breathing clean air anymore. Like, we're all just inside our homes, breathing like plastics and just dirt and dust and skin cells.
I think a lot of people have lost their connection to earth, myself included. So learning about these things has really helped me feel more connected. And more witchy too. It's funny, last week I had a couple people asking me in my daily life, like, hey, what can we do for the spring equinox to celebrate? And I know that the spring equinox has already passed, but you can still be practicing this for all of spring. So some things are definitely spring cleaning, which is witchy, but a lot of people don't even think of it as witchy because it's such a thing. Like, everyone does spring cleaning, but it's really good to like clear out your house, your headspace, all that of stagnant energy from the winter. and like going through organizing, decluttering, things like that. It's a good time to plant seeds, like physically be planting plants and watching them bloom and kind of making parallels with your own life of like planting seeds and then watching them bloom as well. Baking with and cooking with seasonal foods. Again, seeds are really good. Also, some herbs like rosemary, lavender, lilacs, like seasonal flowers that are starting to grow. And yeah, just really embracing the natural cycles of life and understanding the balance of like, you can have, like, we're calling in more light, but we're also recognizing that the darkness was also necessary and just recognizing that within yourself. Yeah, it's also really special this year because the equinox fell the same day as the astrological new year. And Casey, I think you had a little thing to talk about with that.
Our new year, we celebrate New Year's like January 1st, but that's still in winter when like everything is dead. But the astrological new year starts on Aries season, and that's because that's like when spring is starting, everything's starting to bloom. In the winter, we're kind of getting rid of the old energy, closing chapters. I don't know if anyone else was feeling this, but probably from January up until literally like March 19th, when the astrological new year started, I just felt so stagnant. I felt like I was kind of just closing up like lessons that I was learning. I wasn't very creative, but as soon as we started Aries season, the energy, I literally felt it shift. The energy of Aries season is new beginnings. You're going to start getting like passion to start new projects, and you're not going to care what anyone thinks about it. Like, you have that Aries energy of like, I'm just going to go for it. I don't care what anyone thinks. This is what I want to do. The impulsive energy of Aries. If we have an Aries close to us, we all kind of know the vibe. So yeah, you're going to become more creative, and you're going to take the leaps for like your creative endeavors or your goals, and you're going to start kind of moving with, this is what I want to do, not what I'm supposed to do. So it's just a lot of like new. Like, you're going to, the old stuff that wasn't working for you anymore, you are now going to start replacing it and going out there and trying new things. And you're going to have the courage and the willpower, the determination, the drive, the confidence. I'm feeling this energy heavily. Like, literally the 19th, I didn't even know that the sun had moved into Aries on that day, but I sat down and I just was like, I'm going to record a YouTube video. I'm becoming a YouTuber, and now like I've just been like going. I started my yoga training, like lots of newness coming in, and really the drive for it, which I'm glad, because I literally thought that I lost all my creativity. Like, I thought I was never going to find it again, and it's back and it's here, and I'm so grateful. How are you feeling?
Literally, it was the first day of Aries season that all of a sudden you were texting me like, I can't believe I'm finally feeling this creative again. So like, I can definitely see it in you. For me, well, I definitely was feeling it right when it hit last week. I was kind of going through a lot of my stuff, cleaning up a lot of stuff um, around the house, and just starting to think of new plans I have going forward more concretely. Although then I kind of got hit with this full moon eclipse energy consequently falling the same week that is leading up to my menstrual cycle. And so it's been hitting me extra hard this week. And eclipse energy is really chaotic. So I feel like this eclipse energy has kind of literally eclipsed the energy of the start of Aries season for at least me and maybe some other people out there.
I'll link it in the description, but the cut released like what does this Aries seasons bring for you, and I am going to tell you, Emma, for Sagittarius rising, which you are. Aries season highlights the magic that is to be you. It regenerates your enthusiasm and willingness to adventure through life as truthfully and boldly as you can. It reminds you of the pleasures and desires that accompany being authentically you. This season helps you come further into yourself. It brings new appreciation for knowing who you are and new heights to your spark and creativity. It invites you to create a life on the outside that is wildly reflective of who you are on the inside. Remember, the magic is expressing the true you. Aww.
Oh, I was going to say that also ties into some conversations I've had this past week too. It's so interesting once you start becoming more aware of patterns and different things to keep in mind that you keep hearing them over and over. Like I was having the same conversation with one of my music teachers. We were talking about expressing myself authentically and fully, like through my music, and I was hitting a barrier because I don't know what it was, but ever since I was young, I guess I was taught to be small and like I can't share my opinion or my creativity, and like I think it's because every time I did show off my creativity and my ideas, they were all kind of met with like being made, like I was made fun of, or diminished, or even just like like, oh, whatever, like I don't really care. So we hit a wall, and because I was performing one of my songs for her, we really like had a conversation about being able to express yourself authentically, and it's given me a lot to think about. I'm like, what's been holding me back from doing this in the past? And moving forward, like, how am I going to overcome this feeling? So yeah, that's been a really prevalent theme in my life lately.
That's so interesting.
What was yours?
Mine is Gemini rising. Don't hate on me for having lots of Gemini placements. I swear I'm not too. Okay, Gemini rising. Aries season is a time of big picture awareness, Gemini rising. It's a season that highlights community, friendships, and the truth that as you follow your inspiration and claim your desires, you feed into the collective. Your growth that offers support, wisdom, and joy into the lives of others. Your actions that build not only your life, but the collective body from which we all are a part of. As you strengthen and say yes to yourself, you strengthen and say yes to us all. I didn't read ours before we started, before I just read them. That's the first time dude. Yes. Yes. Like that. Yes. That's the energy. I don't know what else to say other than
I haven't even read any of that page yet, but if you're interested in learning more about it, we're gonna link it.
yeah, I'm just really excited about this energy.
I kind of mentioned this week has been a little off for me, and the more I've been researching this eclipse like crazy the past couple days, because I'm just trying to understand like what's going on with me and also the universe right now, because nothing is making sense. Literally an hour or two ago, I was sitting and just thinking how no information I've taken in this whole weekend has made any sense to me, really. Like, I felt very foggy, and like I was listening to info but not understanding and retaining it. And then I was like, what should I do? I just need to start writing out my thoughts and taking in the research I did this week. And now everything makes so much more sense. So it's a full moon in Libra today, and it's also a partial lunar eclipse. And I kind of compiled a couple sources. I'll link the main one that I used in the description, but I'm just gonna read out what came to me after I researched, and yeah. Okay. All right, so full moons already bring intensity, and this eclipse just adds another dimension to this. This eclipse is bringing a lot of energy, which can make us more tired, irritable, depressed, angry, etc. And personally, paired with my luteal phase that I'm in right now, I'm extra heightened right now. Again, you may not be feeling this energy. It's more just like the full moon is already amplifying what you're feeling currently. So, for example, if you're on your period right now, you might be feeling extra intense symptoms. Maybe more for your case, Casey, you've been just like on a roll, so you're feeling extra amped up in that. Since this eclipse is happening in Libra, there will be a lot of emphasis on relationships because Libra is the sign of relationships and also balance and like partnerships and everything that has to do with socializing. Libra energy brings a lot of that. So a lot of things with relationships are coming to the forefront. Eclipses are kind of a time to bring kind of some truths to light. Things that you might have been denying for a while, it's coming out. So since this eclipse is all about, or since we're in Libra and that's all about relationships, it's going to bring out a lot of clarity on relationships. What connections are no longer serving you? What relationships in your life aren't aligning with your values and your lifestyle? You might be getting a lot of signs of this. You might it's seeming more clear than usual right now. Yeah, I know that is probably something you can relate to.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird because like literally last night, the day of the eclipse, I like ended things with someone I was talking to that Emma can attest to, that I was kind of going back and forth on, and Emma literally was like, dude, you just need to end it. Just end it. I'm like, I'm not ready. But what if this? But what if that? But no, like he secretly like really, really likes me. And it wasn't until like a few days ago that I was just like, I'm done. I don't feel good around them. Why am I sitting here trying to keep this person in my life when I'm not feeling good about it? And so I finally had the courage to release myself, and I ended things last night. And I feel really good about it. Like I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders and I feel free. So if anyone else is hanging on to someone that they know they shouldn't be hanging on to, get out of there. Have some self-respect. Love yourself.
Yeah, more about the eclipse stirs up a lot of old emotions or patterns within relationships. So it's really important to stay conscious of this. Another thing about this eclipse is it's involving themes that might have happened from our last eclipse season / last time in Libra, which was October 2023. And then it's also following the same timeline of what happened last April. So April of 2023. So if you've been noticing some kind of connection of like, okay, one moving part happened in April, then something happened in October, and now here, this time, it's a time that it's like readdressing certain things and involving relationships, but also even contracts or like business things as well. Like one tiny thing that I think it's brought up is like we came up with this podcast idea in October, like last October, and now this month we've reassessed how to move forward with the podcast. So I thought that was really interesting, making that connection. I think it's kind of interesting, like, if you've noticed some themes coming up. For me, I've had a lot of themes surrounding community coming up, especially last April. I look back at my old journal entries, and last April, and then October, and then now, there's been a lot of emphasis these months on, like, building community, making connections, which are relationships. So I thought that was really interesting.
Oh my gosh, that's interesting because literally, like March 31st last year, I found out I was getting cheated on. And so then that whole like April period was me being like, I'm ending this. I'm done with this. How do I move forward with this? How do I focus more on me? That triggering that and me coming back to myself again. And that's literally what's happening now. But I wasn't cheated on. I wasn't cheated on this time, thank God. But
yeah, but still bringing up that theme of relationships and how you operate in them, your relationship patterns, things like that.
I've definitely have been reflecting on a lot of patterns that keep repeating in my relationships and like to try not to repeat them in the future because I was kind of repeating similar patterns as the past. I'm trying my best to learn from them.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see that connection, and this energy is going to continue for a little bit longer until our solar eclipse, which is in April 8th. I didn't look too much into the solar eclipse, but I did kind of see something that said the moon has to do more with emotions and your internal processing. So this part of the eclipse season is more about internally processing things, becoming aware of certain things, just reevaluating situations, especially with relationships. The solar eclipse is where the real, like, huge energy is, and the solar eclipse will be more of the action part, the doing part. So right now is more of a time of just reflection and not actually doing or starting anything new. It's more a time to just reflect and really, like, acknowledge and bring to light things that you might not have been really paying attention to. And then you still have a week or two more of this eclipse energy. So we'll definitely keep you updated on what it means going forward. All I've done research on is this current eclipse. But yeah, I'm curious to know how it's showing up for all of you listeners as you're listening to this. Like, let us know if you're feeling any weirdness from this.
The difference between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse, we're letting go of stuff like the lunar eclipse was, but we're letting go of stuff to make room for the new and really determining like what it is that we want and moving forward to follow those passions and those desires. And so that's going to be the solar eclipse. And it's going to be a little delayed by like 2 weeks because of Mercury retrograde.
I would definitely check out some more astrology pages if you're listening and are more interested in looking into it more in depth. I'm not an astrologer, neither is Casey. We're just kind of regurgitating info that we've learned. But there are some people that study this, like, more heavily and look into different things involving transits and your different planets and houses and things like that. We can recommend some of our pages that we follow that can hopefully, like, give more explanation.
Honestly, like it hasn't been until probably like this month that I've really gotten into like the astrological kind of things going on, like deeper than Mercury retrograde and full moons. And so it's interesting diving deeper into this. It's just mind blowing how accurate it is. Like it's mind blowing how the energy is literally what they're saying it is.
Yeah, it can be kind of overwhelming when you start looking into astrology, but you don't need to know everything right away. kind of what I've started with is just my big 3, and then my big 6, and then every time I journal, I write the moon phase, like if it's a full moon or a new moon in whatever sign. It's only recently that I've been learning more about the houses and stuff like that. And it's still, I'm still not that familiar with it. Like anytime I'll see a video of like, what house is this sign in for you? And every time I have to go and look at my chart and try to familiarize myself. So there's a lot of info about it. Overall, it's just really fun, at least for me.
Yeah, it just gives me like a deeper insight of myself, and like when I read it, I'm like, yes, this applies, or like, no, this actually doesn't apply to me. And when she says big 3, big 6, like the big 3 is like your sun sign, which everyone knows, and like your rising and your moon, and they just mean different things. And we're gonna go into like later down the line, once we know more about astrology, we're gonna do an episode on astrology. We'll link some apps. We use CoStar to get our natal chart.
That's a good app if you just need to know the basics, but I've heard some astrologers say there's so many better apps out there that have more accurate information. CoStar is kind of like the fast food or fast fashion of astrology, is what I've heard. So there's a couple more like the pattern or time passages.
I love the pattern. The pattern's really good.
Yeah, that one's also a good one. Some of those better apps can look a little more complicated, so CoStar is really good for people if you just want to know like their chart, like at face value. Like every time I talk to someone and they're wondering what their big 3 is, I have them download that just to see like a good snapshot of what it is. And then you can also add friends on there and you can see their charts.
I stalked Emma's. Like I was like, I can't remember if she was a Sag rising or a Sag moon. And so then I had to go stalk Emma's chart. So it's cool just to have your friends' charts.
Yeah. Once you like know what each of the signs kind of are, you'll look at people's charts and be like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yes.
Like I think I was having a conversation with a bunch of my coworkers or something about it, and we were all looking at each other's charts and everything just made so much sense.
And you can find the compatibility with people.
I'm one of those people that doesn't really believe in compatibility because every single person that is in my life that I love so much says that they're not compatible with me.
I want to see if we're compatible on there. Pattern has been more like accurate for me because some people are like cusps. They're like cusps, so they're on the edge of being like 2 signs.
But yeah, I'm not one to really believe in compatibility necessarily. Like if you do, that's okay. I personally don't. However, I have noticed that I gravitate towards certain signs. Like most of the people in my life are fire signs. I love fire signs. I love air signs. I don't really end up mixing with a lot of earth signs, which is interesting because I am an earth sign. And then water signs are always hit or miss. Like I either like really, really vibe with water signs or I completely have a lot of issues. Is there like people that you gravitate more towards?
I have a lot of Virgos in my life. Like you're a Virgo. I gravitate more toward fire signs and air signs. Like Geminis and Aries and Leos. The amount of Aries in my life is freaking crazy. But I did just look up our compatibility and we have like smiley faces. Like we have smiley faces on everything, and we have a frowny face on basic identities, which we are I feel like pretty much completely opposite in a lot of our identity. We have like the same interests in like morals and values and stuff, but and then moods and emotions is frowny face, which I could see. Haven't read our compatibility in a long time. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll do that after this.
I've been using astrology more so to like benefit myself or like see how I can like I don't really pay attention to other people's signs or like how to work with other signs. I've been using astrology more to like figure out myself and like what I should be doing. Once you start learning about the houses and things like that, you kind of get more deep into the different parts of your life and how to use astrology to do the best you can in different parts of your life.
That's why I like the astrology.
Yeah, me too. And just talking about full moons and eclipses and things like that. It's super fun to kind of ride the collective energy together. Like the Aries season.
Love Aries season. So we had mentioned Mercury retrograde.
I never really noticed a huge difference in Mercury retrogrades than not. Although last week I experienced a ton of tech issues. So I don't know if that has. I know Mercury retrogrades can affect technology. So I wonder if that has to do with it.
Yeah, so Mercury retrograde, it will be April 1st to April 24th. During this time, I've heard it's not really good to sign contracts with people. Like, if you sign contracts, just like really read it and understand what it's saying and look for any loopholes because communication can be off during this time and there could be misunderstandings that could like lead to some conflicts and then tech issues. So if you're working on stuff, just hit save, keep saving it. But yeah, so that's another energy. And the energy isn't exactly on April 1st, you're going to feel it. You feel the energy kind of like before and after.
Some things I was seeing said that the energy kind of started this week or last week. Be ready.
And then another big kind of like recent change is Pluto is in Aquarius.
It went into Aquarius officially, I think it was like January. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius was 200 something years ago, so it hasn't been in Aquarius for a while. And when it was, there's like the French Revolution and things like that. And so Aquarius energy is very much can bring a lot of change and a lot of new ideas, new ideologies coming about. Um, yeah, and so we just wanted to do a little check in and see how everyone's feeling about Pluto and Aquarius. I personally have felt it. I've been seeing a lot more people that seem to be waking. I mean, everyone's already kind of aware of the issues, capitalism, things like that, but I've been seeing a lot more people being like, okay, yeah, like it's time to make a concrete change. Like I've been seeing people boycotting certain businesses because they're like, for example, there's a new boycott with Kellogg cereals because their CEO said that if you're not well off financially, just eat cereal for breakfast. And it was very out of touch. So now everybody's like, let's boycott him. So, and like it's happening, like they're in the stock market, their stocks dropped. So,
wow.
Yeah. So, I think a lot more people are like, okay, we're actually going to make tangible change. Like, we're going to show these people in charge that we are not standing for this. And it's going to be really chaotic. I feel like the next 20 years of Pluto and Aquarius is going to be chaotic, but I'm actually here for it because I think so much change is needed. So,
falls of empires happened last time, so something big could be happening politically in like the next 20 years. I'm already feeling like people are fed up and they're waking up to our political system and how we're not going to get all into that.
Yeah.
But maybe a future episode because we will get angry and I'm feeling really good and I'm not trying to feel angry.
Yeah.
Especially with this heightened energy of the full moon.
Yep. Yeah. Just in general though, our system is very rigged and very messed up and very wrong. And we won't get into specifics, but this shift, I think it sounds a little freaky, like, oh, our empire is gonna fall. But I think it's not scary. It's just going to be a huge change, and I think it's going to be for the better of all of us. So I don't know. I really have faith in humanity to pull together and create this change going forward and making life better for all of us, hopefully.
And apparently, like, more people will be waking up spiritually as well. They'll be having more spiritual awakenings. And Emma and I were, when we kind of first were learning about this, we had said, like, oh my gosh, it's so interesting that, like, now is the time that we decided to start the podcast, when it's probably going to be needed the most, because a lot of people, when they're waking up to it, they can feel very lost and confused and almost lied to and like depressed. There's a lot of feelings.
And a lot of Pluto and Aquarius energy is kind of shifting things away from, that just reminded me, like, shifting things away from this unattainable lifestyle or unattainable vibe. And the reason I bring that up is because when I first started learning about spirituality, it seemed like a lot of the teachers about it were kind of preaching this unattainable mindset or lifestyle. Like, everything with them was so perfect and so at peace, and they're so, like, awakened. But the more you learn about spirituality, it's like, like, you're just a grifter or something. So
you're a poser and you're lying to everyone and yourself.
Yeah, and we are not claiming to be the experts on anything here. We're just two normal women in our late 20s, talking about things that we think, and hopefully maybe sparking some ideas within you as well. But I've noticed that with social media too, like, there's a huge shift from influencers with, like, expensive taste and expensive things like that, because nobody wants to see that content anymore. Everyone wants to see more of, like, the normal people living their normal day-to-day life, feeling relatable,
not making you feel bad about what you're not doing and what you don't have.
That energy goes with Pluto and Aquarius too.
Can I have a side note really quick? A big thing happened for me, like, last week. I swear I had a channeled message in my dreams, like from a higher power, from a spirit guide. Something was talking to me in my dream, and I woke up at 3 a.m. and that's like witching hour or whatever, like that's magical or whatever. So I'm gonna take it as a sign. It was 3 a.m. on the dot. So I had this dream that I was sitting in a living room with one of my friends and this tarot reader that I see all the time on TikTok. And we were talking about the guy that I was seeing. And then all of a sudden, it felt like my body was being moved, like I was in a car. And I, like, turned to the tarot reader and I was like, why does it feel like I'm moving right now? And she said, you've been shared. And I immediately woke up and I was like, what? Like, I've been shared. It really kind of scared me. And at first I thought I was getting abducted by aliens. And that's why I felt like I was moving, like they were lowering me back onto my bed or something. And I was shared with them. But then, like, I wrote it down. I'm like, I'm going to go back to sleep. But I couldn't go to sleep for, like, the longest time. So, because I kept thinking about it. So then I Googled, you've been shared, in quotation marks. And, like, a bunch of just random stuff came up that, like, made no sense to it. But this article popped up about how basically, like, you can't change him and you need to take your power back. And what do you want? You have to accept this for what it is. And if what it is what you want, then fine, just accept it for what it is and stay. But if that's not what you want, then you need to move on. You need to release it. You need to stop hoping and wishing for like something to possibly change, because it just is what it is, and what it is not what you want. That had me thinking. That had me thinking. And I was done because it's not what I wanted. So I feel like I had a channeled message in my dreams. Oh my god, and the tarot reader that was in my dream on multiple readings, she kept saying like, pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to your dreams, like you are being spoken to in your dreams. And she was literally in my dream.
Oh, that's crazy.
And gave me, oh my god.
Did you just
that's
realize
so
that?
Crazy. Yes, I just pieced
it. Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, man, that's, well, it's so interesting that, because you've been shared, it seems like such a vague message, but then you found the exact article that led you to be like, okay, I'm done.
And I didn't have to scroll for very long either. That's so nuts. Oh my god, I'm magical.
Yeah, ever since our dreams episode, I've been really trying to remember my dreams more. And even, I keep saying I'm going to start a dream journal. I will. But I haven't. I had a dream last week too that was really, really seemed super significant. Like it was something that I was been trying to let go of for the longest time and couldn't. And in my dream, something happened and I finally made peace with this thing and, you know, gave it a hug and was like, it's okay. And I woke up and I felt peace like I hadn't felt in a long time. Like, okay, this situation is done. This thing going on in my head that I just couldn't let go of, it just rolled off my shoulders. And now I just feel like this weight is lifted. And yeah, I think dreams can be so healing. And once you start to remember them more, write them down more, think about them more deeply, it'll be just the weirdest things. Like, it's not going to be an exact message, like someone coming up to you in your dream and being like, hey, this, and this. Take that exact message. It's going to come out more with symbolism, or like with Casey's situation, it's just going to be like a line that intrigues you or sticks out when you wake up. Also, waking up at 3 a.m., that's crazy, because I always hear that if you wake up from a dream at 3 a.m., then that means something was happening, like, in the astral realm. So, that's so interesting. Like, 3 a.m. is that veil is the thinnest time of day.
That's nuts. But yeah, speaking of, like, the dream journal, just go with the flow, and, like, the flow, if it's meant to be, you'll eventually be like, okay, I'm ready for a dream journal.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be mad at yourself for not having one, because maybe it's just not time for you to have one yet.
Yeah. Speaking of journals, though, and going with the flow, I don't know if this is a little out there, but it seems like something outside of myself, my higher self or something, is telling me to write down literally every random thought that pops into my mind. And then from there, that's going to spark more creativity. If you're feeling this energy of stuck and not knowing what to do, just start writing everything down. Literally every single thought. Like, just find one random notebook or even your notes app. Notes app is easy. And literally any thought that feels outside of your daily narration, like your normal narration, write it down. Especially if you want to tap more into creativity and like feeling more in flow with life, it's super important to move with the flow. And I think that recognizing this flow within yourself will bring it out more.
What do you mean by flow?
It's interesting. That word flow has come up several times this week. One in my music class, how she was telling me to move with the flow, sing in the flow. What I get from it is living in flow, being in the flow is not kind of releasing your inhibitions and the things you already know about yourself and about life and just letting it all come out, or letting yourself just do something that feels like it's coming from within your soul. So there's this thing called flow state, and you can access flow state when you're doing an activity like exercise or playing music or doing art. And it's basically a state where your brainwaves are actually different from your normal waking mind. Your complete attention is on this thing, nothing else. You're not thinking of anything else. You kind of even lose sense of time and yourself even. You're just fully in it. I've experienced this a lot when I play music. Last week even, I had a moment where I was just playing for so long and I didn't even realize how long I was playing for. And I was not thinking of anything else. I wasn't even thinking of which notes I was playing with, which chords I was playing. I was just fully tuned in, fully present. Your normal waking mind brainwaves are more beta waves, but when you get into flow state, you actually get into alpha and theta waves. Can help tap more into creativity in this meditative state, which is really good for your brain. So how that relates to living in flow with your life, if you've experienced this flow state, just try to emulate that in your everyday life. I don't know where I was meaning to go with this, but
I'm glad you brought that up because I've been experiencing that late. Going in flow with life is like when you have a feeling that you want to do something, you just do it. And you don't care about the time. You don't care that there could be other things that you could be doing, that you could be doing better things, or you're not thinking about like other stuff. You're like, I want to go for a walk and I'm just going to go for a walk. Or I really want to edit my videos and I'm just gonna do that. Like I have been feeling flow for the first time in so long lately, and literally I came out of it and it was like 5 a.m. and I had been like creating like a YouTube banner for 5 hours in my profile picture for 5 hours, and I just lost track of time. I love being in flow. I just want to be in flow all the time.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to get across. Because we have these moments of flow usually. First, they might not be that frequent even if we're not really good about keeping ourselves in flow. But it's like, just try to emulate that flow state in your day to day life, doing your day to day tasks. How that can apply is you're still not focused on time deadlines or time, like getting things done at a certain time. You just let the thing flow through you. Like something I talked about with my teacher is she's like, I can tell when you're performing that you're analyzing every single thing you're doing in your head, so you're not fully present, fully just playing the music, singing. You need to get into flow state and let it all just come out, and don't even think about criticisms or if you're doing it right or wrong, if you're doing this technique or that. Just let it all come out, and then you can analyze later. But normally when you're living in flow, that's when your best ideas start to come out, is what I think.
That's so true.
Your brain waves are accessing that meditative state, and that's when you're tapping into different parts of your brain.
So, as we close out this episode, we invite you to pay attention to your thoughts and your desires and wants, and to just do them and go with the flow. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that episode. We hope that this Aries season and Mercury retrograde and the full moon and the eclipse energy is good to you. And we will see you in 2 Tuesdays. And if you want to keep up with us between then, we have Instagram, we have TikTok, all that jazz. So you can check out all those links in the description. If you want to know more, we're going to link our sources down below. Thanks for your time and attention, and I hope we were helpful in some way.